Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, with the 9-time GSL champion and the rank 2 Terran in the world in the red. It's the man, the myth, the Maru, facing off against the rank 1 Terran in the world, the Protoss in the blue. We have Team Liquid's Clem in a best of 5 Terran versus Protoss showdown, part of the LiuLi Cup yearly finals for $10,000. And before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button, or maybe even subscribe. Help me count the algorithm. Jimmy, what are we at? Jimmy. 1,798 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better, as Clem faces his greatest test, the best Terran in the world, who isn't named Clem. And since we currently don't have the technology to force Clem to play against himself, Maru is the greatest mountain to climb. And lately, Maru has been looking better than he ever has since the last decade. Going toe-to-toe with Hero, consistently, well, earning his place as that next best Terran, and threatening to overtake. And Clem, as StarCraft 2's very first biracial player, the player who, on a regular basis, picks another race in order to hedge their bets in a certain matchup. Now, nobody in StarCraft 2, nobody sane in StarCraft 2 enjoys mirror matchups. And especially Terran versus Terran is well known to be a bit technical and somewhat coin flippy, just like all mirror matchups. So Clem decided to solve that problem by creating problems. After surviving the crucible of playing against max packs literally hundreds of times in series, let alone games, he's become arguably the best Protoss player in the world in Protoss versus Terran. Again, because he doesn't have to play against Clem, but that's, you know, a pretty big advantage. The first adept going to be hunted down by the Reaper Hellion, and we are on a 3-player map, and there's more shenanigans afoot, but the Stalkers are able to trot their way back to the shield battery and hold for now, and to the game in hand. And there's quite a hand to play. Maru, with a bit of cheese. A starport with cloaked banshees being researched in a corner of the map that is almost certainly never going to be scouted. Even if there was a hallucination, there isn't, but there could be. There's no way he's going to see it coming. Unfortunately for Maru, at least on paper, it's just a robo-blank build. This is the most cookie-cutter standard. This isn't Heroes' Forrest Gumpian school of Protoss delights, but instead, it is about the most staple build that Terrans could ever be dealing with. And the Blink Stalkers are almost completed, undercutting the Reaper Hellion as they kind of pass by 2 different angles. A single siege tank, Clem pulls back, anticipating something more for defense. You may have seen the tank coming down the ramp as well. There's already an Immortal on the way, but an Immortal is not known for being very good against Banshees. Did he even make an Observer? You know, Maru may have bamboozled Clem a bit here. There's a whole lot of Stalkers. He waits for 2 Banshees in order to be able to punch through their shield batteries and do so much damage that they can't reshield the probes in time. There's an Observer on the way, but the Stalkers are halfway across the map, led by the nose, assuming they have one. Who knows with those bandanas? By the Reapers. And now the Banshees come in. The Observer's nearly complete, but 4, 5, and 6 probes dead immediately. A single Observer comes out. He's going to try to chase down. A bit of waffling here, but he forces the Blink Stalkers to the back, but there is a shield battery in the main. Nobody is more cognizant of the dangers that Terran can pose than the most dangerous Terran out there. So it seems Clem did anticipate some sort of shenanigans like this, whether it's a Hellion drop or the Reapers in the main. He's going to try to cut off the Banshee, but the Banshee would rather just hang out in the corner all on its own. Typical Terran. Another Banshee coming in, and the shield battery not quite in position to deal with this. And that will cost a couple more probes their lives. Maru now almost equal on workers, though just now starting his 3rd command center while Clem has his 3rd nexus completed. Banshee sliding along the force field wall, where the flames are mostly cosmetic there as we slowly fall from orbit into the planet. But there's plenty of time to play this out. The starport is spotted. Clem correctly anticipating the proxy. Maru knocks down an observer. The Banshees, there's a lot of airspace for the Banshees to work with. Only one of them with energy to cloak, and the Stalkers are very aware of the Banshee's presence. Another Banshee just continually working their way around, and Maru seems to have given up at least somewhat on the all-in idea, and is now swerving into a much more macro-oriented sort of style. As he has double engineering bay, third command center, more barracks on the way. There's maybe a chance that he moved out and tried to do some big all-in with pulling the boys on the siege tanks, which he is no stranger to. All right, we've seen plenty of those against, again, his Korean counterpart Hero, but Clem seems to have more than enough units. He has 16 Stalkers and an Immortal. So good luck getting out of your base, especially without the stim pack. So Clem holds the Banshees. He deflects the pressure, and he's going to keep Maru pretty bottled up. But if there's one thing Maru's good at, I guess it would be turtling. I had to cheat. I realized that there's a lot of things he's good at, but if there's one of the things is turtling. A absolute grandmaster class in how to sit in your base and make it impossible to be killed. But if anyone knows how to pick it apart, again, Clem is on a single list. A list of one person. Just a name. All right, just pretend that joke worked. And speaking of working, so far the Reapers, they're still getting more damage. Bounces them to the side, gets 4 kills with the Reapers. And Maru at 55 SCVs against 57 probes. It's certainly not a terrible spot economically, especially considering the mules actually give him the income advantage. An armory on the way. Maru not going to be stopping at 1-1 upgrades like sometimes is the case. The starport, there and back again. Finally making its way back to the home it never knew. And will land on a reactor prepared especially for it. Yep, that's an observer. Clem gets caught out. The stalker count, so damn high. Clem has not been slouching on the production. He's made sure to get his gateways up in a very, very timely fashion. There's still 3 Banshees. Well, for a moment. Until he blinks down, he takes out another one. Well, coming around the corner. Very annoying to deal with. A Colossus is out. Extended Thermal Lance is about halfway done. Mine's further along. And the siege tanks and, well, Maru's battening down the hatches. It's pretty clear where we're going. And for Maru, that means not very far at all. Siege tanks, supply depots, scanning every observer. Even though Clem, I'm sure, knows what he's doing. You've got to leave that little bit, that kernel of doubt, which could maybe explode into the popcorn of danger. 2-2 for Clem. No, sorry, Maru. Getting Clem conflated with the Terran, which is both understandable and unacceptable. 4 more gates, a second robotics facility. So much of the time, Terran versus Protoss kind of ends up like a chess boxing match. Or what I assume, based on the name of a chess boxing match. I haven't actually watched one, though. It feels like it's something that sounds entertaining, but isn't nearly as much. Moving on. Kind of like TVP sometimes. But now we go back to the board and build up. And it's Clem's job to figure out if he could ever break Maru. Not necessarily how, but if. The most likely time to do so is focused around the expansions. Eventually, Maru will mine out. Yeah, sure, he might have more CCs than a poorly formatted corporate email chain. He might have more turrets than a tower defense game. But at some point soon, the minerals in the main will mine out, the natural not too far behind. And this map, well, I ship it with your mother, so it's the most massive map in the pool. It's a 3-player map, which means just more bases to work with. And potentially Clem could have... We saw Hero versus Maru on this map. Hero had 10 bases, and he still managed to throw the game. Which, you know, can't help but compare in Clem Trast. Was that... Did he get an observer? He got an observer, right? Yes. He EMP'd some of his own medevacs, but the EMP also reveals the observer. And this is it. The 4th base is on the way. Clem is maxed out. Maru not quite there yet, and no 2-2 upgrades. Here comes Clem. Extended thermal lances. Fires off a salvo. Double kill on the siege tanks. Disruptors mixed in. He's got a whole tsunami of splash damage, though notably absent Archons or Templar. As against the Ghosts, they're less than reliable. But Clem is rotating around again. He's got 12 gateways back at home. He's building up another round of production. Another robo. More gates. 2 more Nexi. 3-2 upgrades on the way. A bit of an archaeological expedition as he takes down the rocks. A fusion core is in production for Maru as he tries to hold things down. The fusion core very likely for the advanced ballistics, but blinks forward. Down goes one Liberator. Gets a second. Fires off the fadeaway shots. Another set of tanks. Vikings helping against the Colossi. The Disruptor will zone out the bio. The surviving Banshee will actually take out a pylon, but a big warp into the main. The Warp Prism goes down, but the Zealots are already here, working on the starports themselves. Siege tanks and Liberators holding the front line. Meanwhile, the fusion core could be delayed. No, not quite. Clem still working around the edges, but the end result, Maru does have a 4th base. He is mining from it. Slow and steady. Sometimes wins the race. The Banshee gets involved. There is no, well, I think there's, oh, big hit caught between a rock and a hard place there. As Maru struggling to navigate his own base somewhat. And Clem has 2,200 minerals in the bank. He's mining 3,500 minerals per minute. That's a whole legion, a cinematic of Zealots to throw away. And here comes Clem right down the center, fires off another volley. Comes up a little short, but gets one of the Ghosts. Meanwhile, another one to the side. Unfortunately, the Stalker blinks a little bit too close to the mini-sun. Dark Shrine is on the way. Triple Ruptor production around the top and around the corner. Vikings in a good position to snipe off some Colossi, but the trickle of Disruptors will keep Maru at bay. Clem managing the Blink Stalkers, the Charge Lots, the Ruptors, and keeping those Colossi in position. The Mass Ruptor is what he's chosen, which is a fragile with a glass cannon unit composition. But so far, the shots are mostly landing. Maru is maxed out without much in the bank, though he does have 7 orbital commands, and keeping tabs on this army is absolutely critical. And coming around the corner. Like, that's 6 orbital commands. Misses a couple Ruptor shots. 0 for 2. Shack at the free throw line, but keeping the army. The Disruptor is the most dangerous force field, because force fields themselves are less than ideal. Even though they don't land their shots, getting Maru out of position or keeping him out of position is absolutely key. But now the Venn diagram of freedom, the liberation is at hand. Another set of Ruptor shots. Last Colossus is knocked down. Some Marauders taken with it. Disruptor pop, but Maru's expanding down the center. He's taken his entire quadrant, which, if Clem's not able to smash it, might be enough resources to get the death ball he truly needs. A few more shots slamming in. Another volley. Gets another hit. But wait, there's more! And that one comes up short, but Clem keeping the pressure on, unleashing volley after volley of Disruptor fire. He's got 5 of them underneath. Really working those cooldowns as well. Fires another shot. Clips a siege tank. Shield upgrades finishing. 3-3 and +1 shields for Clem. Working on DT Blink. He's got 8 Nexi now. Another Stalker-based army. There's only 1 siege tank over here, which blinks forward. Has a single Disruptor to catch Maru on the transition. Gets a few of the Marines. Another shot up to the high ground. Has to dodge it with his own Zealot. A Warp Prism is flying in towards the Natural simultaneously. Liberator sieging up the rocks. A little bit out of position. Another salvo. Warp Prism is free to warp in. Clem losing a lot of supply here. Neither player noticing that Prism, but it could be absolutely critical. Pulls away. Warp Prism. No, Clem! No! Oh, the Select All army. The hero school of, uh-oh. Yep, that seems like it works, to be honest. That was a premium opportunity to warp in, but Clem losing track of the many prongs of this attack. And Maru the end result, he has a 5th base. Clem does not want that to happen, but can he stop it? Disruptor shots under the medevacs take a big chunk of Maru's army, but the Liberators will zone out the rest. 8 DTs warping in, angling towards the planetary fortress at the 3 o'clock. Clem will continue until morale improves, or he dies trying. The DTs, Blink is completed, gets on the siege tank. A little bit of back and forth here. The bio pulling back. Clem realizes he's been spotted. That is so many Liberators. There's an observer spotting for all this, but that doesn't mean he can deal with it. The bio's chasing down the DTs. Finds the Liberators slightly out of position, will knock down 1 or 2, continues forward, disruptors to push him back. But the Liberator's still taking big chunks. +2 ship weapons is done. 15 more Zealots warped in. The pylon! He cuts down the Zealot count, but enough Zealots will cut him down in turn. Rebuilds the pylon. Clem has expanded to over half of the map. Maru's locked down 5 bases, though, and that's the real objective, but Clem finally found an angle. Try to blast through. Another couple shots, but the planetary holds. What a save! Holds the line for now, and Maru is tearing through everything left. The disruptors are on cooldown. The Colossi have to retreat back, but the thermal lances have enough range. He's got 3 robos of production. 2 more next on the way will put him at 10. Maru has held. The Turtle Terran. The Shell has hardened. He has high-sec auto-tracking and building armor for both turret and planetary range, as well as armor. Moving over to the right side. A few charge lots. A couple prisms, borrowing hero style. And into the main base, at least 1 prism will survive, though I'm not sure it'll actually get a chance to warp in, but doesn't matter. A few Zealots near the 3rd. The prism trying to take the opportunity. Maru pulls back a disproportionate chunk of his army. But he's still at 200 supply, which is part of the reason he's struggling, as the reinforcements are not coming out of the barracks because he's simply not losing that many units. Clem has lost 8,000 more resources, but about an equal amount of gas. 101 Zealots so far. Just the beginning. But Clem continues working his way around. Another scan, trying to anticipate some of the warp-ins, but the Liberator count is at 6. The Marauder count at 33, which is obscenely high. Disruptors pop, but a couple more get their shots and take a critical mass of the Marauders. 4 Colossi, only 2 Vikings. Another Disruptor in the center mass. Shaves away 1 Liberator. Make that 2. Forced to pull back for more. But there are currently 4 Colossi against 3 Vikings. Those scales are a bit tilted here, though Maru doesn't seem to be easily. It feels like Clem's starting to really build some momentum. Knocking down the starport units. The EMPs, not so dangerous against the Zealots, which have significantly less shields. More Stalkers being warped in for the base down the center. The planetary fortress will be targeted, and there's not nearly enough SCVs. The planetary is taken down, and Maru is starting to crumble. He's losing units that he can't easily replace. Couple more Liberators targeted down the Vikings as well. The Marines and Marauders are in autumn colors. And there might be Caduceus Reactor for the 4 medevacs, but he can only heal so many units at a time. Clem knows how dangerous this position is for the Terran. Will knock down another Liberator, picking them off 1 by 1 because the Marauders can't zone out this many Stalkers. The Colossi. He's so tempted to step a little bit further, but he knows how dangerous it could be against the concentrated firepower of these Liberators. Maru, a single volley, almost takes down his own command center. A bit of a panic here. 89 probes for Clem, which means Maru's army supply is still larger. But he can't get out of his base. Clem is tightening the noose right now. It's getting closer and closer to breaking. The DTs on the planetary pulls the SCVs, but I think it's too little, and it's certainly too late. Eviscerates an entire planetary fortress. Meanwhile, Clem down the center dives it again, and Maru is too late to respond. The Liberators aren't sieged up. The Vikings aren't in position. Another command center could be taken down. Shaves away a few more units. He's on the chase, but he's retreating into the fire and fury of the Colossi. The Vikings might be able to knock him down, but the DTs found another angle. And Maru, anticipating, but not quite quickly enough. The DTs still have Blink. He comes back in again. Another orbital. Right now, Clem is tearing him apart, despite his Protoss. A Nexus! He has a Nexus on every single other base. But Maru still has 110 Terran army supply. Though I don't know if he'll ever get an opportunity to move out again. The EMP detects the vast majority of the DTs, which looks so weird when they get detected like that. Not to editorialize, but... Meanwhile, Clem refills yet again. He's lost 10,000 more resources. But with 10 Nexi and 90 probes, he just needs to survive the onslaught. Maru has almost no home to go back to. He has this. The death ball is put together. It's not going to get any more dangerous, but Clem has a few death balls of his own. Fires off a Ruptor. Clips a couple Marauders. Even chews through a couple Ghosts. The Liberator's trying to move forward, but the Disruptor shots fired off before the Liberators can siege. Gets a few more. Maru bleeding out on the field. But he's still got enough life in him. He's still dangerous. Meanwhile, the charge lots will take out what little economy is left. Try to target down. The Liberator's doing a pretty good job of it. Vikings hit the deck in the center field. Will knock out a surprising amount of the Stalkers. But Clem, in the most precise yet overwhelming display of macro Protoss versus Terran. Who's the Zerg now? $99 Marines, 178 Jardsnots. He used the entire map as an economic sledgehammer to smash Maru to pieces. And it wasn't easy, and it wasn't quick. But Clem avoided the pitfall of so many Protoss before him, including himself, which is going just a little bit too deep and digging too greedily. If you lose one fight too hard, the Terran momentum can flip immediately. It can be almost impossible, if not impossible, to regain it. But Clem never overstepped. Which is, again, I gotta stress, the hardest part is knowing before you've done it. Because it always feels like you could maybe just get that base. He never dove on a single planetary, on a single orbital, because a command center is 400 minerals. Okay, an orbital is 550, a planetary 550, 150. But if you lose 2,000 minerals and 1,000 gas at army for it, that trade doesn't add up. So, Clem defeats the #1 non-Clem Terran in a straight-up macro game, and that is the style that Maru is best. I would say he's better than Clem at the Turtle Terran. The Porcupine Terran, let's call it. I don't know if that's more generous or not, but the Porcupine Terran where if you attack me, you're going to get the quills or spines. I want to say quills. I'm pretty sure I've debated this before, mostly in my head. That's where most of the debates happen. They're very heated. Like and subscribe for my mental health care. But Porcupine Terran. Very prickly, but it does not move fast. Turtling just implies you're sitting there and, I don't know, just retreating into your shell, but it's definitely a lot more dangerous than that. What a game. It started as a phase, but now it's plenty of phase shifts for Clem with the Protoss. Legitimately, his Terran versus Terran was his most unreliable matchup. As especially many micro-oriented players, sometimes there's sometimes no amount of micro that can solve a mirror matchup, because it doesn't make up for having one less of a key unit, like a Cyclone or a Raven. And Clem's Protoss is actually currently ranked higher than his Terran on the European list, at least last I checked. So, which was admittedly quite a while ago, but don't worry, I'm on the internet, I said it with authority. So, it is now for a while, I was going to keep talking, doing filler commentary, but fortunately, this Zealot came up and relieved me of that obligation. As the Zealot, he's pulling more SCVs, anticipating more danger. As Maru did not scout, this could be a proxy gate. It's not, but it could be. Unfortunately for Clem, though, the bunker will finish, and that will severely reduce any options. And I think the timing of the Adept will actually let Maru know that this is the extent of the danger. He's got a third command center on location. All right, now I can pontificate a little more. If I could remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, Clem playing Protoss. Now, we thought that there might be a chance of players saying, well, if you're going to play Protoss, I'm going to play... Well, I guess the other option is Zerg, but seemingly nobody wants to off-race as Zerg, which is weird, right? They can't hack it. No, Brenda, no. I'm just telling the truth. Just being brutally honest. No one asked. They never asked. Sorry. The early pressure. What SCV? 2 Marines. The Adepts trying to keep something going, but... Now, does Clem... He may anticipate the bag base. But, what can you do about it? I believe Blink Stalkers can easily get over the worker path. The mineral wall only there. Maru's just doing a triple Rax. A tri-Rax. Which sounds like a video game dinosaur, but... Bunch of Marines, Marauders, a bunch of dudes with drugs, guns, and hatred of the races who don't look like them. So, feels right at home, but... Oh, surprise! Well, that Adept was expiring in 30 seconds anyways. We all know Adepts after 5 minutes are a liability. Truly the most early game focused of units. Even more so than Reapers, I feel, but... Here come the Blink Stalkers. Clem not rewriting the book, just maybe editing it for a new edition. And Blink Stalkers being arguably the most microable early game unit in the game. I'm not surprised to see such a focus on him. He's even got a warp prism, putting on the extra pressure. Third base is on the way, but there's nothing here. It's just a bunker, which is effectively nothing, just bunks in. Yeah, a little late, the SCVs. Nope, it goes back the other way. Stim isn't done, combat shield, no +1. But there's several Marauders, which will give away the build here. But until there's stimmies, Ghetto blinking back and regular blinking. Quite a play. Target for... Oh my god. Oh, sweet Tazadar. Ooh. Did he lose any? Oh, no. That could change very quickly, though. A lot of these are badly bruised. Stim is done. He's still Yeah, this is starting to... Well, the shields aren't really coming back. Still, though. Okay, well, that's over. 12 SCVs, 2 Marauders, 18 Marines. Now, a few of those were the Adepts early, but that Blink micro. But the bunker's got nothing in it. He was anticipating a blink to the back, but instead, Clem, right through the front door. The boys are pulled. The Marauders are getting a lot of... He blunks on top. Going to target the Marauders one at a time. But... Oh, no! He lost the prism! It's a disaster! Oh, no! Oh! Well, Clem riding so high with such impeccable blink micro. But now I think he needs a hero. He goes from 2 Stalkers, and that's it, lost, to 15 Stalkers and a Prism. It is a total and utter disaster. I saw some hesitation in that link. All right, that's the difference between Hero and anyone else. Hero would have blinked 3 times by then. Clem was like, you know what? I think I can. No, you're thinking. Big mistake. And now it costs him. But how much? It's looking very close to everything. But these units, there's no medevacs. In fact, the factory's just finishing. The probes are now going to be taking the hits. Knocks out 8 of them. Warps in a couple more Stalkers mid-fight. Just taking shots at whatever he can. These Marines and Marauders are an existential threat to Protoss units when they have their direct attention. But eventually, and at great cost, maybe? I don't like the Stalker. Oh, it hurts. Well, Maru. Putting the Maru in Marauders right now. Clem will hold. We ought to ask ourselves that question. Have you liked and subscribed? And at what cost? What have you done? And that was the oldest mistake. Too deep and too greedily. That blink. One blink too far. You might not be seeing anything at all. Is charge done? No. +1 will complete, which evens the odds here. And it's not like Maru has a super complex unit composition. It's still just Marines and Marauders. He still has no medevacs to support them, which is why Clem is able to fight this back across the field. The Blink Stalkers juggling in and out. And there's maybe, there's 6 more. How many gates? 8 gates. Clem has a 4th base. He's sending the Warp Prism into the corner. There's real opportunities here. Maru is entirely reliant on this momentum. And a Warp Prism at the back is the definition of ways to undercut it. Made sense. Don't worry about it. Slurps a few Zealots out of there. Gonna rejoin with the army at the front. Not exactly an easy location to attack into on the high ground ramp. Gonna try to cut down the Marines and goes right back into the War Prism. Keeping Maru anchored at home, goes for the front. But again, the charge lot's getting easily distracted. Sentry. Painful. Yet quick death. Clem is trying to pull out of the gateway composition and add in a little more flavor here. Not that the Protoss would know what that is, but as a Terran, Clem might. Though usually the only flavor they recognize is salt. A scan, that's a whole lot of charge lots. Will Maru batten down more of the base? Honestly, you don't want to wall off. You just want to funnel. Because since the Zealots are so ranged challenged, having just a few buildings in the way to funnel the Zealots into a location where you can fire on them one by one is clearly the ideal choice, as Maru has demonstrated on very frequent occasion. Well, Ghost Academy's on the way, 2-2 for both sides, but it's going to be a little quicker for Clem. The charge lot's coming in, Guardian Shield helps out, but a couple siege tanks on the high ground, providing a whole lot of support. The Warp Prism, this is an orbital command on the way, Immortal shows up, Stalkers get caught off to the side, and again, the attention is split. Clem, with a lot of his units unfocused, and Maru, on the other hand, is able to bring everything to bear. It's a single sentry, but one force field I don't think is going to do much. He saves the sentry, maybe tries to turn it around. A force field, emotional support field there. But again, the gateway units in this sort of situation with this much firepower. The Colossi are in production, but it is a significantly less stable situation than we saw in the previous game. Warp Prism loaded up again. I don't think Maru caught a glimpse of it. And that outlying base is such a vulnerability. The Prism just goes into the natural. Gonna try to undercut. A huge warping. He's gonna try to combine with the main attack. Widow Mines, though, splashing over many of the Zealots. Warp Prism's taken down. And Maru pushes back on both sides. And now, the supply reflects it. He's not stingy with the scans to make sure he's not going to be outflanked. Clem not stingy with the Nexi. He has 10 gates, 2 Robos, and not enough. The Colossus caught coming across the map. It's not the first unit, but at this rate, it may be the last. As Maru is rolling across the map, the medevacs are low on energy. The Marines and Marauders have 2-2 upgrades, but there's a Colossus trying to stand tall, but the Vikings will knock it down. The rest of the army from the back. Maru just jammed in the center. Holding, microing back. The medevacs are completely drained. But Clem plummets to 100 supply. The Terran army holding the line. Reinforcements headed across. And Clem, he lost the momentum on that fateful blink. And Maru's opening his eyes now. Critical damage. Maru turns it around. Depowers the robotics facility. And depowers Clem. GG. Maru with the equalizer. That went from the best to the worst blink so quickly. Aptly named. That blink micro was so good. So good. Right up until it really, really, really wasn't. And that's how easy, it's so fragile. In hindsight, would Clem take back that split second? I think so. But there's no take backsies. Even recall takes quite a while to go off. And it wasn't clear it was a disaster until it was far too late. The real thing is the SCVs. You pull even half a dozen SCVs, and because stalkers are single target units, if they aren't perfectly focus fired, which is very hard to do when you have 10, 12 of them because you don't want to overkill either, they absorb so many shots. And all it takes is a few extra seconds of the Marauders wailing on the stalkers for things to go sideways very quickly. I feel like Maru was kind of baiting it, too. He wasn't doing everything he could to push back the Blink Stalkers. He was just holding. And until then... What is this? NG Bay block. Clem is looking for proxies. He's like, what would I do? If I was a cheesy Terran, which I am. Sir, this is private property. By the eminent domain. Sir, look it up at the command center. Sir, citizen's arrest. The engineering bay is laid down. I don't know what it is about winter madness that keeps you coming back every time, but like and subscribe. But Clem clearly anticipated this too. This must be a popular engineering bay block map. He's able to shut it down quickly. Obviously, there's still a delay. Maru still deemed it worth it to go for the NG bay block, so... The hell? Oh, second barracks. One base. Wild. Reaper bounces up. Bounces around. Gonna... Oh, the probe! The probe here to block. More probes. And... Clever girl. The probe sacrificing itself so the Reaper couldn't get through. Though we'll spot the Twilight Council. This is a one... Clem has not scouted. The Reaper... Honestly, I think Maru was willing to lose the Reaper to keep the Adepts back at home just a little bit longer. Because Maru's doing a one base already. What flavor exactly? It's a medevac drop with the Cyclone. Does he pull the boys to bunker rush? Blink is on the way. If Clem gets Blink and a couple shield batteries, feels like that's the whole recipe there. Like, he's on one base. I cannot stress in current year, being a one-base Terran is, well, it's a bold move. It can definitely work, but Clem is getting a lot of forewarning here. How many boys? That's the question. Not if, but how many? No shield batteries for Clem. The Tacti boys. All right. 10 of them. Leaving 8 SCVs mining minerals. The majority, at least About half of all the SCVs. How many is this? Yes, 9 is about half of 24. Give or take. Blink is nearly done. The lack of shield batteries is glaring right now. Feels like that is a massive undercommitment out of Clem. No blink. No shield batteries. He's got 4 stalkers. He's gonna warp in 3 more, but about to lose. He did repower. He's got ghetto blink with the prism. Says real opportunities here, but then he just drops the siege tank like he owns the place, and who's gonna stop him? He blinks on the tank, but the SCVs, they refuse to give up. The tank who lived and the Protoss who died. Maru takes the lead. The tank lives with a full surround of SCVs. And Clem severely because Clem almost never goes for these. I think this is an example of Clem's expertise as Terran working against him. Because Clem almost never goes for the all-out, all-in. I know that sounds dumb, but he is much more, like, he might do an early pressure, but he's not pulling 8, 10 SCVs, or even 9, which was the exact number I'm remembering now. So, I don't think he acknowledged how much Maru was willing to commit. And what did it cost? Everything. One shield battery. The lack of shield battery, I feel, was reckless disregard for the danger. Everything else, maybe, but no, it's not a proxy. It's too late for that, but out goes the SCV. What? A Macarex? Named after Maca Prime, who was on Maru's team. You might be like, when was that? Well, I'll just give you an example real quick. About that time, if you're like, oh my. Oh, somebody was lagging. Rex is very helpful for the production. We do need him. Says Crank, who's also on Maru's team. Actually, I believe he's the team manager. Former pro player as well. Will Clem spot this? Or is this just a normal... He's scouting, but he's staying in the trees. So a Macarex is proxying your racks, but still close to your base. So that way the probe, or occasionally the drone or SCV comes in and says, oh my god, he's proxying. But you get most of the value of getting your opponent to freak out without the risk of building your buildings on the other side of the map. This isn't... Usually you would have done it like here. Like, this is kind of far out. So it's a bit of a half and half. But anyways, we're all so old now. Maru's 28. So that makes him several years, 4, 5 years, Clem's senior. What? No. No, come on. Come on, Clem. How did this SCV slip in? I mean, I know how it did, but the fact... Oh no. Oh, are the alarm bells ringing yet? There's a shield battery. The Stalker is out. Now, if he kills the Reaper, that's an absolute disaster. Okay, the bunker rush. I'm so stressed. I don't know why. I mean, it's an intense game, but I don't think we've ever seen Maru versus Clem. Like, in TVP. Maybe. Either way. So it's just one Reaper. This is just to do exactly what's happening right. How does it taste? Clem, you remember being able to taste before you were a filthy Protoss? This is not a rare build for Clem either, but okay, so was it worth it? Eh? Is that stuck? No. No. I don't think that was worth it. It did barely anything. The shield battery just kind of shored everything up there. And now Clem has a comfortable 2 bases. Maru does have a command center on the way. He's doing a mass Widow Mine drop. Now that I mean 4 Widow Mines. It's been a while since we've seen such a commitment. Huh. The Reaper's still looking to zone anything, scouting across. And Clem doesn't know. Did he build a sentry? He hasn't built a sentry at all in this. I mean, he's built sentries, but not for hallucination scouting, to be clear. That could be. Obviously, he's built sentries. Well, here we go. The Reapers trying to drag attention at the front very clearly. I think Clem realized that immediately and pulled back, anticipating, because he knows the Reapers are not the threat. So he's anticipating exactly this. But wait, there's more. There's one more mine in the main citizen's arrest. And the sacrifice is offered. A bit of prairie dog micro. Jams himself into the little corner there. Another Widow Mine will be cleaned up. Little more, and well, he's gonna take the shot. Still, a lot of mining time lost. And most importantly, the medevac gets out. I guess most important would be, well, it's a combination. There's a Reaper wall, but that doesn't stop the medevac from getting in with the Reapers. Love the adaptation here from Maru. And you don't expect the Reaper drop, so he's gonna get a few more probes with it. The medevac is still more important, though. Why not? Meanwhile, Siege Tank gonna zone out the Blink Stalkers. 4. A Blink Stalkers towards the main, and the Observer is quite conspicuous, so much so it gets easily taken out. After all that effort, there and back again, the medevac gets taken down by the Stalkers in the most obvious location. What? A Raven. 1 kill. Maru losing track of that medevac is a medium mistake. Not a game breaker, but things have not gone great for Maru. They haven't gone terrible. It certainly could be better, but it definitely could have been worse. He loses the rank. Like, it's a lot of little things in early game TVP. Oh. Awkward. Hey, come back over here. No. But we're just gonna stare at you then. I like it when you watch. Yeah. Siege tanks with a punishing volley, just obliterating a Stalker. And all its friends nearby, taking some big hits as well. But Clem, 3 bases. 4 more gates on the way, charge about to complete. So, Maru is building up to a very strong but important 2-base timing. He doesn't have a 3rd command center started. So he needs to get something done here. The robotics bay just completed, which means Colossi still a ways off. 1 Colossus is still not that scary in the grand scheme of things. Be surprised. He's going to build a 3rd base on location. Hallucinated Phoenix out of Clem to spot this. The Stalkers trying to buy some time, but it's too costly for the most part. The robotics facility scans forward, make sure there's nothing waiting on the high ground, but the medevac taking some hits, stimming forward. That robotics facility is in danger, but the siege tanks here taking a lot of damage. He's chrono boosting it. Whatever's coming out of it is important. That Colossus, 1 second, such a huge deal. It pops out of the robo at the last second. The siege tanks will smack it. A single Marauder shot, but he pulls back to the shield battery and saves the Colossus. 4 HP. Oh, but a medevac gets taken down, and it could be more. Clem, the game, hanging by the thread of that Colossus. But it somehow And now, with the Colossus alive, these medevacs taken down, Maru just casually strolling by with the Raven. Slaps down an auto turret, maybe some at the third, but the third command center will complete for Maru, but it's going to be under attack almost immediately. A couple probe kills. Yeah, he's going to have to lift that. Does so. Delays the orbital. And if he's lucky, that's all that's delayed. That Colossus, the Marauder shots, but still it lives. And every shot precious. Clem being incredibly careful not to overextend here. But he's got Maru bottled up in his own base. 2 bases versus 3. Widowmine drop out of nowhere. Comes back around. Gonna mitigate the damage. Reburrows. Oh, he gets a retarget. 7 probes. More. Clem's starting to bleed out probes. He's actually down to 53 against 57. Where are you going, Maru? What are you doing? He loads up 3 medevacs. I did not expect Clem to still be on his doorstep. But here he is, knocking again. Maru very optimistic he could get away with a doom drop when almost nothing else was there. But Clem realizing his advantage, but losing several probes at the back certainly undercuts his position. Maru has already... I feel like Clem spotted the drop. Not that necessarily expects it again. The Zealot saw this. The Zealot just saw it. He can always recall back. There's not enough at home to defend. He just sent 30 supply out and all of his medevacs. Like, Maru is feigning like he can defend this. But with no medevacs, one's coming back now, but not exactly from the angle you might like. Yeah, it's not gonna make it. Maru's still, like, he's taking the scenic route all the way around. There is not enough energy for a recall to the main. Very soon, but very soon might be too late. Clem's just gonna go forward. We're going into a full base trade. The boys are pulled. And somehow, well, he recalls onto the army, but the Widow Mines could be, oh no! Huge hits! Maru baits him into the mines. And a disastrous recall. And Clem, I think it actually kind of worked out. That Colossus still lives. 3 of them now. There's only a couple Vikings. The Thermal Lance is doing terrible, terrible damage. The boys are pulled. Everything being incinerated. He's going to try to drop on top, which is not the ideal methodology. It's still not enough. Clem losing a couple battles, but winning the war. The drop went well, but he never dealt. The Colossus lived the entire game. It popped out of the robo and almost got knocked out in its opening seconds, but it lived the rest of them. Which means the Clempire strikes back. And we're going to game number 5. The LiuLi Cup Finals. Technically the finals of 2025, because all the cups were held in 2025, and now we're doing the grand finals when everybody's scheduling works out, but a roller coaster. Clem going toe-to-toe with the best non-Clem Terran in the world. I think Clem has already proven his Protoss is world-class. Like, if he beats Maru, that's it. Like, there's no one else. The rest of the list is himself. Like, and Maru's like, game 5? Proxy ranks time. Really? This is the most Maru thing in the history of StarCraft 2. Quite literally. Maru absolutely notorious for this. There was a time, it includes today, but when are you ahead? Proxy ranks. Are you behind? Proxy ranks. Match point? Proxy ranks. First game of the series, believe it or not. Proxy ranks. But the fact that it's all on the line. Every part of it. Do or die. Proxy 2 racks Marauder. Filthy. Disgusting. Beautiful. Inspiring. Oh, and it works off of the fact he already did the Macarax play. So this is going to look quite similar to the previous. Not so all in. Like, it was early pressure, but it wasn't attempting to be game ending. If Clem expands, he could very well just lose. This SCV is coming in from a very suspicious angle. It came, yeah. Okay.
Add-on complete.
And, sound the alarms! The Marauders! And that SCV just gave it all away. All right. If that SCV hadn't come in, I'm not convinced Clem would have scouted there. I think he would have gone for a Nexus. But the SCV got greedy. And now Clem has time to build up his defenses. He's not taking a Nexus. By far the most important part. He's going to get shield batteries. He's going to get a Stalker. It's still dangerous. But concussive shells is actually quite late. He's prioritizing actually having the Marauders, which makes sense, but it's only one gate against 2 barracks. So eventually the Marauder count can overwhelm. He's building a... is he trying to get a Robo? Yes. He doesn't want to just defend. He wants to push back against this. The Zealot! And at the last second, an engineering bay block. So just to keep the Zealot out. I think Maru realizing at the last second that Zealot was just walking across the map. But he just hard NG bay blocks. The depot's dying. Yeah, he'll come back. So the awkward part. Well, now what? This is crazy. Okay. This is so... Maru has dragged this into his realm of experience. This is a much more Maru versus Hero-esque situation. We're both on one base with no expansion in sight. I'm sure Clem is really thinking about when he can expand. Whereas Maru's thinking of if he's obligated to. He will be. We're going to play rig around the SCVs here. Concussive? He canceled Concussive. Kind of a wild move. It's not a very... I mean, he wanted the factory quicker, but canceling Concussive when your only units are... Oh, there's still a probe! Ah, the probe! The probe actually an existential threat to the Marauder. The barracks are on the way back. A single adept. Yeah, he's gone. Both players with expansions on the way. But, they really had to claw for it. The barracks are headed back home. And Clem's gonna try to get something done. There's gonna be a siege tank, a Viking. And with an Immortal, with any smattering of units, plus, very importantly, the Immortal, it's likely that Clem can deny the expansion. For a time. Also, there's the potential force field on the ramp that could end up cutting the army, cleaving it in twain. Is that siege tank close enough to the ramp? Oh, he's just waiting to see if it'll come down. Yeah, come on down. Cross the line. A force field. Now there's an observer. Maru will spot it. He does have a scan. Yeah. Another observer. There will be another scan. A Raven on the way as well.
Add-on
Multiple
complete.
siege tanks. He's going to use the... Well, both sides know what's happening right now. They both have full vision of the armies. Clem's taking a third. There goes the obs. He needs to keep some level of ambiguity here. Force field on the ramp. Backs off. Literally exact... Wow. Clem knows the siege tank range so perfectly. But it's moving... Okay, well now... Suspecting exactly this. The Stalker takes some big hits. And Clem will back off. So, Clem's going to have a third Nexus nearly done by the time Maru is able to mine from his second. The boys are pulled to mine from that second base. Though, I wouldn't be surprised if some of them end up sent across the map. He's going back to deal with the tech labs. The army conspicuously absent. Is Clem really going to think about a fourth base? Or is he trying to show a third, maybe? Because I think this is a much more common base. This is a fake. He wants Maru to think that he's taking a third. This probe is just here to show off for the tech labs. He may even take another base, but, like, he's trying to bait him into an ill-fated attack. Because Clem doesn't have nearly the minerals to expand. That probe is for show. Some very small but potentially huge mind games here. As Maru, grinding forward, actually gets a lot of damage. The Banshee taking some big hits. Where are the Tactic Boys? Is Blink done? Indeed. The tanks will siege. Works back. The hallucinated Phoenix, probably looking mostly for a third base. I mean, taking tabs on everything, but the most important thing is whether or not he has a third command center. A scan on the natural, sees one gas, and sees him chrono boosting probes, which I think he knows. He knows the other third base is up. He knows this is a fake. Though it may be less of one momentarily. Yeah. Supplies still dead even. The warp gate kind of skews that a bit. Gonna clean this up, which means the army is off the map right now. The charge lots are done. The Marine is gonna finally confirm that this base has been mining for quite a while. Oh, he's gonna pull all the boys. Oh my. Oh, here we go. It's coming. Prepare yourselves. Are you ready, boys? I said, are you ready, boys? Can you hear me? No. Am I misreading this? Is he just gonna take his third? What? He's just gonna let... Well, I guess... That's crazy. There's so many charge lots. He's not even taking the third. Maybe he's trying to fake it in the same way that Clem just did, because 2 bases against potentially 4. Are you ready, boy? Apparently they weren't. But here come the SCVs. They will be cut off by the charge lots. It's pretty clear what's happening now. There's one Colossus. Do or die. But the charge lots cutting off so many of the reinforcements. On the high ground, anti-armor missile is a potential. He doesn't have interference matrix, unfortunately, but anti-armor missile, Colossus. But it coats some of the immortals. Force field on the ramp. That's so much Terran. The SCVs are coming through. The shield battery. Clem beaten back by this army. There's not enough splash damage. The Colossus is almost dead already. He's sieging up on his doorstep. So many charge lots on the other side of the map. Desperately, he needs a recall or something. He doesn't have energy on anywhere but the third base. The Nexus will fall. The recall back to the third. And he's going to try to deal with this. But the Bio Ball on everything. Charge lots from the south. Vikings knocked down a Colossus. Auto turrets aren't able to come up. They're actually body blocked. A few more in the front. The Colossus is knocked down. The Immortals are taken out. The last Stalker. GGG. Maru. Clem crumbles. Maru puts everything on the line. Game number 5, proxy 2 racks and appalling most of his economy across the map. And Clem cannot withstand the combined Terran firepower. Clem not yet able to prove that his Protoss is better than any Terran. As Maru. Is he back? He moves on. What a series. One of the highest level Terran... Maru versus Hero is quite an experience. But Clem versus Maru, an education. Hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did. Hopefully it made your day just a little bit better. Thank you again to the LiuLi Cup. They hold mostly monthly or bi-monthly, every 2 months. Tournaments. That's what bi-monthly means, right? Anyways, leading up to the finals at the end of the year, and by end of the year I mean the next year, but If you get an opportunity to check them out live, make sure to do so. If not, well, it'd be awesome if you could like and subscribe here. Anyways. And if you got means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. Thank you to our mule tier patrons. Big Jiggy, Devendor, Kate, Mario, Soup. Glad you still enjoy. And everyone, make sure to check out this video that Jimmy picked out just for you. Congratulations to Maru. And we'll be checking out more of the LiuLi Cup playoffs in the coming days. So don't miss it. And even if you've already seen some of it, maybe on some other channels, well, hopefully I bring a unique brand of commentary to make your day just a little bit better. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.